I was doing a gig a couple of weeks ago. I got talking to a girl in the front row. I asked her her name. She said it's Pataka. I said, that's an unusual name. You don't hear that every day. To which she replied, actually, I do. Feminists say, and you may agree with this, you may not, feminists say, a woman's work is never done. Maybe. They got themselves organised a little bit better. It's a bit of an icy stare you with me there, madam. What you've got to understand is that's postmodern misogyny. That joke is, in fact, steeped in irony. So don't you worry your pretty little head about it, love. Mother always said, if you haven't got anything nice to say, fuck off. Watching sex on telly with mum and dad, that's embarrassing. I didn't even know they knew to use the camcorder. My father used to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Till the accident. A lot of people say modern art is pretentious, but I look at it like this. My girlfriend said she wanted me to tease her. I said, all right, fatty. Boxers don't have sex before a fight. Do you know what that is? They don't fancy each other. My sister had a baby, I went to see her. She said, do you want to wind him? I said, I'd give him a dead leg, shall I? Someone calls Admiral Insurance every 6 seconds for a quote. What a nutter. If you had to choose between saving your own life and saving the life of a loved one, most people agree, make a brilliant game show. I saw an advert for adult literacy classes in the newspaper. According to official statistics, 1/3 of all accidents in the workplace go unreported. How on earth do they know? If you eat a lot of spicy food, you can damage your sense of taste. When I was in India last year, I was listening to a lot of Michael Bolton. The reason old men use Viagra is not because they're impotent. It's because old women are so very ugly. I was talking to my nan about Ant and Dec. She said she didn't know which one Ant was. I said, do you know which one Dec is? She said, yeah. When people say they hear voices in their heads, as opposed to where exactly? Hearing voices in your legs. That's properly mental. I read an interview with Margaret Thatcher a couple of years ago, and in it she was talking about her funeral. She said, I don't want my funeral to be a morbid affair. I want it to be a celebration. I thought, well, you won't be disappointed, love. Things don't always work out the way you think. I always thought it was going to be my mum that would catch me masturbating. I think you're shocked. Imagine my surprise. A very common male fantasy is to have 2 women at the same time. One to cook, one to clean. Easy there, I'm joking. They want to fuck them. I was in the high street the other day. There was a girl there with a clipboard. She said, could you spare a few minutes for cancer research? I said, all right, we're not going to get much done. We can pop into Boots and see if they've got anything. She says there's never an excuse to raise your hand to a woman. What if you've got a question? She says that because she's a woman, she's good at doing 2 things at the same time. If that's the case, why is the threesome out of the question? Cats have got 9 lives, which makes them ideal for experimentation. A dog is for life, not just for Christmas. So do be careful at the office party. Bad things come in 3s. Good example of that is Atomic Kitten. Every time I think of Atomic Kitten, actually, I'm slightly saddened because I think, well, somewhere in the northeast, there's a supermarket 3 checkout girls short. On holiday, I went walking in the lakes. It's called swimming. And while I was there, I met a very beautiful girl and I fell in love, but she was going out with a friend of mine, so I had to hide the way I felt. That's not easy wearing Speedos. I bought my girlfriend a book called Cheap and Easy Vegetarian Cooking, which is ideal for her because not only is she a vegetarian, she's reading a book at the moment called Women That Love Too Much, which I think could have the title shortened to Sluts. I live quite near a special needs school. There's a sign outside. It says, slow children. I thought, well, that can't do much for their self-esteem. But look on the positive side, of course, they can't read it. I remember before J-Lo, before the term ghetto booty, when we used to just call it a fat arse. Of course, J-Lo's had her bum insured for $10 million. Don't know if that covers contents. Someone came up to me and complained about that joke a couple of weeks ago after a show. Quite a big-boned girl. She said to me, "I think you're fattest." I said, "No, no, no. I think you're fattest." I wrote that joke for a thing called Worst Britons, where I had to write jokes about lots of celebrities. It was a programme that we put on Channel 4. I wrote this as well, if it's of any interest to you. I went to a car boot sale the other week. I found this old, brown, bent, leathery tool. Turned out to be David Dickinson. I met an incredible girl on the internet. Smart, sexy, uninhibited. Of course, it turned out to be a 12-year-old paraplegic boy. I'll be honest, the sex was disappointing. Oh, I think we've reached a barrier there, haven't we? Hang on, we will laugh at that and nothing more. Well, thanks very much. But before we even start, I suppose I'd better warn you that in my act there is a certain amount of bad language. I'm not talking about split infinitives. There will be some swearing and there is some material of a sexual nature. So if you are offended by rude or crude material, for heaven's sake, don't be a cunt about it. Every year in this country, thousands of dogs are needlessly and pointlessly destroyed. Every night, hundreds of homeless people go hungry. All I'm saying is, it wouldn't happen in Korea. I would like to take this opportunity to recommend Korean food to each and every one of you. Their cuisine is delicious, their delicacies. They're the dog's bollocks. When it comes to the environment, it's not us, but our children and our children's children that will pay for our mistakes, which is a relief. No matter how much you give a homeless person for a cup of tea, you never get that tea. Throwing acid is wrong, in some people's eyes. As I'm sure you all will have ascertained, I'm quite middle class, and I'm from the home counties, so I don't have an accent. This is just how things sound when they're pronounced properly. Not that there's anything wrong with being working class these days. Being working class is very much like masturbation. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, it's nothing to be proud of either. And both give you calluses on your hands. A couple of weeks ago, I failed to perform sexually. Well, how is that a laughing matter? A couple of weeks ago, I failed to perform sexually. I'm not going to go into details. Suffice it to say, I arrived early. My girlfriend said, "Don't worry, that happens to a lot of guys." I said, "Right, there's two things the matter with that. Firstly, who are these a lot of guys? And secondly, if it's happening to more than one of us, don't you think it could be your fault?" So I should apologise, really, because I've used the C word rather a lot so far this evening, and I know a lot of people, especially the ladies, let's be honest, find that a little bit offensive. There is, of course, an alternative to cunt. I don't mean up the arse. Now, are you all familiar with the phrase, "see you next Tuesday"? See, it's the polite English way of saying the C word so as not to cause too much offence. Although, ironically, I can't think of too many situations where you want to call someone a cunt, but you don't want to offend them. Sort of what I like about it. Now, have we got anyone in from around the country? Is there anyone in from the north? Oh, quite a few of you. Oh. I ask you, what's the point in having a north-south divide if you're not going to police it? It is a peculiarity of the United Kingdom that people from Liverpool tend to think people from Manchester are a bunch of cunts. And vice versa, people from Manchester think people from Liverpool are a bunch of cunts. When will they realise?